Every year, there's a place in Atlanta where the geeks come out to play. A place we like to call Dragon Con!
Dragon Con does whatever a Dragon Con can.
Okay.
Is it geeky? Sure it is. Because you have guys in Stormtrooper outfits. Oh yeah, it's Dragon Con.
And there's Spider-Man too.
There were, and Deadpools, and...
Deadpools of Deadpools, and...
There were pools of Deads.
Yes, there were pools of Deadpools.
And zombies, to go along with the Deadpools.
Although, yeah, I don't recall us seeing a zombie Deadpool. Which might be kind of redundant, but...
Yeah, kind of redundant.
Either way, there was a lot of neat stuff there, and we had a lot of fun.
By the way, we went to Dragon Con.
Yeah, in case you couldn't tell.
My name's Andrew Felson.
And I'm Matthew Puetz.
And this is the Freakacast.
Yes, once again, we are the Freakacast.
And we are doing something a little different, because I actually did some recordings there, and took a little bit of video, and a lot of pictures.
We have a nice special episode for you guys.
And I just want to get this out of the way. Check us out on the web at afelson1.wordpress.com. That is AFELSON 1.wordpress.com. And check us out on iTunes. Look for us either on the Freakacast or Andrew's Brain. Both of those will get you to it. And, of course, check us out on Facebook. Look for the Freak Out Entertainment page. And we have the one with Freakazoid as the icon still, correct?
Correct.
So check us out there. I think we're going to skip plugging the rest of the sites we normally do other than songstowereprance2.com because we use the theme song every week.
Yep. An awesome theme song it is.
An awesome theme song it is. We'll save the plugging of other sites because we're going to still be plugging a few during things. 'Cause I actually have interviews.
I know, which is the primary reason we're doing this show.
It is, but before we get into that, I think we should just talk about the overall experience as a whole. I think a little bit.
Yeah, maybe give people a better idea as to what Dragon Con is, because there is a stigma that goes with it. It's just that it might be, people go and they just, goof off and this sort of thing, but really it's a convention. It's a convention not really different from any other convention regardless of what the topic is. It's just a Dragon Con. The topic is science fiction, comic book, and fantasy.
It's a lot like the San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes. At least from what I understand. I've never been to anything other than Dragon Con, so...
Yeah, this is the only con I've ever been to. Maybe one day I'll do other ones. Who knows? But it's very similar to that, where you actually have movie stars, writers, and people in the entertainment business. Comic book artists. They come out and they do signings, they do panels. I think the main difference between this and Comic-Con is because it's in California. They do movie premieres and sneak previews there. Right.
I was also going to say a lot. Also, because of when Comic-Con is usually in July, middle of July. They still have movies to promote towards the end of the summer, whereas Dragon Con is always on Labor Day weekend. So you've already missed your summer movie audience.
Right.
So they don't really have the need to do any special premieres and anything like that. But they still have a lot of neat stuff there. You have a lot of actors that you get to meet, and comic book artists and that sort of thing. So there's a lot to do. Way too much stuff for us to do in one day, let alone 4 days, because it does go from Friday. It does start on the Friday before Labor Day all the way up until the Monday of Labor Day. And I know people that go all 4 days, and they still won't do everything that there is to do.
Yeah. I got to meet Christopher Lloyd, got to shake his hand.
Yeah, that was cool. I got to meet Michael Rosenbaum. That was pretty awesome. Just the fact that he liked the fact that I offered to buy him a beer.
Oddly enough, neither one of us went over to Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, well, what's there to say?
What's there to say? Oh, it's that she's never heard before. Like, you're good as Leia.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, thanks.
And that's all we know you as.
It's like you were funny in Fanboys? Or you played an awesome nun in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
You got kind of old, which we all do.
It's like, hey, thanks for eventually saying no to drugs.
Yeah.
What else to say, really?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say something to somebody that you don't have that personal attachment to.
I mean, granted, it's like, what more could I say to Christopher Lloyd? Because I literally went up and said, thank you for making my childhood awesome. You were the bomb in everything you were in.
Yeah, but, because I talked to him right after you, and I asked him what his favorite movie to work on was and who his favorite actor to work with was. And surprisingly enough, he said One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Jack Nicholson for both those answers respectively, which I was quite pleased with because, with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he said, well, it was really, it was his first experience on a movie set, getting used to that environment and that working relationship with, directors and that sort of thing. And he said with Jack Nicholson, he was such a generous person and, encouraged you to do your best on the job. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool because that's not the kind of characters he portrays.
No.
So
I think... Oh, I guess we should... you know what? I'm going to play the first clip, and we'll talk a little bit more after the jump.
Yeah. To kind of set this up...
We just got there. A little bit later than we thought, but we just got there.
Yeah, because it was a little harder to get some people out of bed.
Wasn't me.
I was referring to myself, actually. Other than the fact that I was up till 4 in the morning working on my costume beforehand, which, to set this up, I decided to go as a Ninja Turtle. And as working through the costume, I realized, the head is really hard to do. And the week prior to this, I had this interesting idea of taking the ninja aspect where you have a hood that covers your mouth and your eyes are showing and have the 2 straps with the belt, similar to the ninjas from Mortal Kombat. I thought that'd be kind of a neat way to do a take on a Ninja Turtle. So I ended up doing that, actually because of time constraints.
And pretty much, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It came out okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that after the first little interview segment we do. So here it is.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Felson. And I'm Matthew Puetz. And today is September 4th. It's about 1 a.m. We don't normally do that, but today we're at Dragon Con, where we get to have all the geeks and freaks conning it up. Joining us today, we have a familiar guest from the Spider-Man episode. We have Marcus Sene. And today we have 2 guys who are going to be hanging out with us today, and hopefully we'll be talking to other people who are at the con. But today we have... Your name, sir? Someone of no importance. All right, someone of no importance. And joining him... Phil. And Phil, what are you going as today? I am Lesotho, the Guardian of Pain. Fear me. Yes, and there will be pictures accompanying this, and hopefully some video, so check that out. All right, person of no importance, what's your actual name? You mean costume name or actual name? Actual name. Hunter. Hunter. Hurst Helmsley? No. Difficult ones. They're always difficult. He's going as Anakin Skywalker today. Yeah, right. And Matt's a Ninja Turtle. Emphasis on ninja. Emphasis on ninja. There will be pictures and videos, so you will see this. And evidence. There will be evidence. Marcus went as Marcus, and I went as some dude in a Spider-Man shirt. That's how creative I am. So we're going to be heading over to get our tickets and then join the con, so we'll pick it up from there.
So yeah, that was our first bit of the day, and I made it. I have to say it was not 1 a.m. It was 1 p.m.
Right.
Because I'm an idiot.
Well, I thought it was kind of funny.
So did we after we heard it. We're like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, I'm stupid.
That's okay. You make mistakes.
And that was puzzled over the Hurst Helmsley bit, which that's the name of a wrestler.
Okay.
Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
Okay, that makes more sense now, because I had no idea what you were talking about.
That's okay.
Which neither did Hunter. That's why he didn't get the reference.
It's okay. I didn't expect Hunter to get it. Nor do you. It was more for me.
Okay.
And Marcus, because he got it.
I understand that when you make a reference, and you don't care if anyone else gets it as long as you enjoy the reference.
Indeed. And there will be pictures of Phil, and we've talked to him next, actually.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit more about the Ninja Turtle outfit, if we can.
Yes.
Since, by the way, heads up, probably the next one we're going to do is Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
So there's a little spoiler for you guys.
Well, at least this time we know what we're doing ahead of time.
Exactly, which is normally like, what do we talk about? I don't know. Pick something. You got a dartboard and some ideas? All right. Funk.
We need a dartboard. We don't have one. That might actually make our ideas better.
And full of holes.
That's okay. Our ideas are full of holes anyway.
So you went as Raphael.
I went as Raphael. I had the idea of doing a Ninja Turtle costume last year, actually, after Dragon Con. And working in the last year, trying to get different designs looked at and figured out. One of the things I definitely wanted to do is a more realistic take on the look of the character. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is a big challenge to begin with.
Right, because you got not only the looking reptilian, but you got a shell to do. You have the facial features to do.
There's a lot more than just making a costume. You know, you're not making clothes. Now you're replicating the look of another species, basically.
Right, and this is something that you really have to be head-to-toe clad in.
Yeah.
To really pull off the look.
Right. So the first thing I did actually was, I want to say back in January, February. I actually looked at some reference pictures of, not just of the cartoon, but the cartoon, the movie, some fan art, that sort of thing. Just trying to get as many different ideas as I could. And I came across this one that actually had them look a little bit more, not so much like superheroes, but a little more realistic, where they had more of different color schemes in their skin, where it wasn't just flat green, but they might have a marbling effect.
Okay.
And, like you might see spots in this sort of thing. Their heads were shaped a little differently. And I really liked, and it was much more imposing looking, so I really liked that. And then, of course, I looked at the movie designs just to kind of see, because it was a costume, so I said, okay, well, let me look to see how these are done from the first one, not from the third or other series they were crappily done, but from the first one, because I needed a good reference picture.
Well, it's weird. We'll eventually talk about it, and when we do Ninja Turtles, but it's so strange. The first two movies, the costume looked great. By the third, it looks awful. It's
Which I don't understand. You'd think they would just keep using the same ones.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe we'll have to look into it.
I don't know. After I looked at the reference pictures, the shell was a challenge, not so much in terms of the actual shape, but because of the fact that I needed it to have a certain effect. And that effect was that I needed to be able to get on my back with the shell and have it support my weight. Mm-hmm. And so when I started thinking about that, I just kind of said, okay, well, let me just kind of hold off on that idea. I don't have to do it right away. Let me just mull over the idea. In the meantime, I went and looked at how to do the head, the face, and the arms and legs, the extremities and that sort of thing. What I quickly determined with the arms and legs is that, I don't know how to mold anything out of silicone or latex or anything like that. I only know how to sew. How on earth do I hide seams? Well,
it's always a challenge.
It is a challenge. It's a challenge that I met, I feel. And what I did in order to hide the seams as best I could, because obviously you can't hide them completely, was to utilize the actual muscle tone design in the human arm and use that as the seams. That was a pain in the neck because I had to redesign a sleeve from scratch so that, where your shoulder muscle is, that indentation is now a seam. Where your bicep muscle is, that indentation is now a seam, and so on and so forth. That was a big challenge. The one thing that wasn't a challenge, what I was expecting to be a challenge, was the hands. I honestly thought that with the hands I was going to have to do multiple pieces. Nope, just front and back, 2-piece, sewed it up, worked great.
And he went authentic with just having 3 fingers.
Yes.
Which I'm sure felt weird having your fingers crammed in like that all day long.
Oddly enough, it was actually fine. I didn't notice it at all. It was only kind of challenging when I couldn't point. I couldn't give anybody the middle finger. I had to give them the 2 fingers. I can't type in those things, that's for sure.
Well, thankfully, you never had reason to give someone the finger.
Well, no, but it's just more for the effect. It's, Raph has got kind of that attitude, so.
Yeah.
But it was certainly a challenge, and the other thing, too, is, I did add a little bit of padding just to help those muscle groups pop out so that it didn't just look like it was laying flat on top. The face became easier to do because I was able to find a prosthetic online from a website called mostlydead.com, which they specialize in theater and Halloween prosthetics and that sort of thing. Basically, it's kind of a neat site.
And Matt, what did they do to you when you actually got your mask?
Oh, please, no, we're not revisiting that. We are not talking about that, sir.
Oh, come on, it's hilarious.
Okay, all right.
We've already said out in this show that
we've already established the fact from the Spider-Man episode, I do not like spiders.
You're afraid of spiders.
Okay? Well, this being a Halloween website, they just said, hey, we're going to put a couple of fake bugs in there for you. They don't tell you that when you make the order. You just think, okay, you're going to get a mask. Well, I wasn't here when they delivered the mask, so they sent it to the post office. So a couple days later, because the scheduling and that sort of thing, I went to the post office, picked up the mask, brought it home. I was so excited. I opened up the box, and what do I notice inside? I didn't even pull the thing out yet. I just opened the front of the box. There's what appears to be legs. I'm like, crap. Okay, I'm not opening this thing in here, so I took it outside.
And dumped it
Dumped it out.
And then a minute later...
And then, of course, as I'm dumping out, I see a bug. I'm like, okay, well, I'm outside. It can run away, hopefully. Then it's like, wait a second. It's not moving. I take a closer look. what the crap? They put a fake spider in here? What is wrong with these people? I mean, how do they know you don't have a problem with bugs? You might get a heart attack.
Oh, it was so funny.
For you, yeah.
For me.
I'm in the middle of a panic attack and you're laughing your butt off.
It was great. One thing I had to comment on, and I ended up working out, was the fabric that you chose initially for the arms and legs.
Right.
It was green, but it was a very, very, very dark green.
It was, but that's...
To the point where I was like, I don't know, Matt, that doesn't look Ninja Turtle-y.
Well, the reason that I chose that was for a couple of reasons. One, it's actually very porous. And knowing that I was going to be in this thing all day, I wanted to make sure it was breathable. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go sweating all day at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
You really don't want to go home. People are like, Matt, you smell. Go take a shower. Plus, you don't want to, have a heat stroke or anything.
Right.
But also because it looks like reptile skin. Yeah. I really like that texture. And yes, you did comment that it was not green enough, that it was a little too dark. And I think I was in denial. I think I honestly was kept thinking, well, maybe if I will it to be green, it will.
Maybe in the right light, it'll be.
Yeah.
But then eventually, now that I see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm glad that you're able to point these things out, because I don't catch it. Sometimes I know in my head I have a certain idea, and if you don't have somebody coming on the side and say, you could tweak that a little bit and make it better. Which I did. I was able to find a fabric paint that was still a dark green, but it's very much green.
And what's nice is, I want to also note that the prosthetic mask you got, which was sort of reptilian shape, was a blank kind of mask where you painted it. So you were able to make the mask match your skin.
And which I still need to do a little bit better. I think after seeing some of the pictures, I didn't realize quite how well, or how not as good, or not as well the green of the face matched the green of the bodysuit.
Well, it's still better than nothing.
yes, it was. Plus, I also noticed that the makeup I had on that was a darker green came off during the day. So
yeah.
By the way, the prosthetic that I used, because we didn't actually touch that up, was designed as a turtle-human hybrid. The actual character that they marketed for was called a Turtle Boy. And I thought, well, this is great, because it literally takes your nose and your mouth shape and everything, makes you look like a turtle, and it does.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I would love to see them use in another Ninja Turtle movie. Just because you have your actual teeth, the actor's actual mouth, you don't have these animatronics going on behind, which would be kind of nice to see.
Right.
So I got the bodysuit taken care of, although that was interesting when I had to start painting it, because the pants I had to put on while I painted it. So, yeah, I found myself painting my butt. It was just kind of a weird experience.
In a weird sentence.
Yeah. But that was the only way I could get everything to kind of flesh out. The top with the arms, it wasn't as big a problem. I could lay that down flat, paint it, turn it over, paint it again. It wasn't as big of a problem. The way the legs were done, they were just too awkward to do it flat. And I was able to get the shell done.
You briefly mentioned the shell, so I think we need to elaborate on what you did.
That's what I was about to do, actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
With the shell, so in the meantime of doing the face and the arms and legs, I realized, if I design the shell kind of like a bike helmet, in that you use styrofoam for the majority of your area, or your stuff, I guess, and then I would use foam on the inside for comfort, a more squishier foam, and then I could take vinyl and create the shape on the outside, as well as having a little bit of texture plus the right colors, that I could actually pull this off. And that's what I did. I got a couple sheets of styrofoam, glued them together, and then literally took a kitchen knife and cut it out, and then I started whittling it. That was because I had to shave off I had to shape it. That was actually the easiest part of the entire costume was the shell. The arms and leg, the top and the bottom with the arms and legs, that was quite time consuming and quite a pain, because I had to redesign everything from scratch. I couldn't just use a sleeve pattern and a pants pattern normal. The face got interesting, and that was, unfortunately, I'm kind of glad that I ended up nixing that original option, because it just wasn't looking the way I wanted to, with the neck and the back of the head and everything with the skin. But the shell ended up being the easiest thing. Unfortunately, it was also, after looking at it in full, you realize, wow, that's also the most cartoony looking out of the entire costume. So I'm going to be doing some modifications to the costume in the next year to have it all have a better flow, so that the green on the face matches the green on the arms, and so that the shell has a more realistic look to it.
Yeah. But overall, not a bad first attempt for a Ninja Turtle costume.
No, especially since it looks a lot different from other Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Although, as we later found out, you kind of also look like Reptile from Mortal Kombat.
Which is kind of cool, but not what I was going for at the same time.
Not quite what you're going for, but still pretty cool, especially when you're fighting Reptile.
Yes, which we have pictures of.
All right, so I'm going to play this next segment here. We are in line, and I talked to Phil a little bit, but I think I say that during it, so here you go.
Hello again, folks. We're waiting in line, so I figured I'd ease the time by doing a little mini interview with the person you don't really know. One of our listeners. This is Phil. Hello. How you doing? Pretty good, man. Wait in line. So I got a question for you. Sure. How many Dragon Cons have you been to?
This is my second.
You're your second? What was the first?
The first was last year with you guys as well.
Okay, I didn't realize that was the first one.
Yeah, and this is the first one I dressed up at.
Nice. And just as a reminder, you're in a goth outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is a sort of a ridiculous, over-the-top goth character I came up with called Lesotho, Guardian of Pain. And he's kind of, damn it, Michelangelo, you're in my interview. It's not
Get it right, pal. That's, yeah.
Goth fail, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah. So he reads a lot of bad goth poetry and always wailing about the horrible, Mickey Mouse capitalist conformist system all around us, which is oppressing us, blah blah blah, yada yada, which I for real think is really stupid, but I think it is quite nice to make fun of. So this is my alter ego.
And of course, it's probably the goth who's like, oh, my life is so bad, but probably has plenty of money and doesn't have to really worry about things.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm a lucky guy. So.
One of those goths who likes to complain but has enough money to afford really nice clothes. So, people are being weird.
What?
Someone is being weird. That's okay.
People being weird at Dragon Con?
Who knew?
So that's fun.
Yeah.
So
I was busy making faces at you guys the entire time.
Well, as best you could with no face.
True. I mean, when I didn't have the actual hood on, you could. The nice thing about the prosthetic was it moved with your face. You could get a lot of facial expression.
You were a little creepy when you did that, actually.
That's good. That was what I was aiming for.
Especially when you were eating pizza.
Once again, what I was aiming for. That's why I was really excited about finding that prosthetic.
You were able to eat with it, and you ate pizza.
Yes, of course.
And people were like, hey, a Ninja Turtle eating pizza. Awesome.
In fact, I even got some guy from CNN came over and took pictures.
We should look that up, actually. I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't think we did or not. We'll have to find that.
We will. So it was a couple hours later when I did the first interview with another person who was there.
Yeah, somebody that we did not know.
Someone we didn't know, just because there's so much stuff to look at.
Yeah.
And if you've never ever been there, I guess we should really set this up.
Or
it's
to any kind of con.
Or any kind of con. Well, especially this, because I think...
Yeah.
I really honestly don't know, but I think Comic-Con is kind of just in one spot.
Yeah.
Whereas with Dragon Con, because you're smack dab in the middle of a city, Atlanta...
Yeah, and there's not one big convention center that they use.
There's not one spot. They actually use, like, 3 hotels.
Right.
And it's not like they're right next to each other, so you have to travel...
2 of them are, but there's another one that's a couple blocks over.
And there's another that's a couple blocks over, and it takes place in all these 3 places, and there's in multiple floors. Like all the streets and hotels are jam-packed with people.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So it's literally a trek to get from one spot to the other.
Not quite a Star Trek.
A Star Trek, if you will. Not quite. And there's just so many times where you're just like, wow, look at that, or whoa, that looks awesome, or ooh, that doesn't look awesome. That's kind of creepy.
They're like, no, you should not be wearing that. Oh, yes, you should be wearing that.
It's like, oh, I approve of this. And then you're like, hey, look, a Deadpool. Hey, look, there's Waldo, which was all day long.
Yes. Andrew, I think you found like 5 or 6 Waldos?
There were 5 or 6 Waldos, one of which I didn't want to find.
Yeah, and we do not show pictures of that.
Oh, you didn't put that one up?
No. I deleted that picture.
Oh, then I'll have to say it. Just...
We're ignoring. We're pretending that never existed.
All right. For those of you who were there and saw it, you'll know.
Yes.
Although someone mentioned something that I wish I did see, just for a laugh riot of it. I think the next person says it, or the person after. One of them. Anyway. So this next person, though I'm going to say it in this interview, is dressed as a stormtrooper.
Yes.
and was nice enough to talk to me.
Yes. See, stormtroopers are not bad people. They just work for bad people.
Yeah. Thankfully, he had his mask off, so
Yes.
he didn't have to be like, I wonder if this is a drill. I'm like, who are you talking to? We're not even rolling yet. All right. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. I'm here at Dragon Con, and I'm standing with Jeremiah. Jeremiah, who is a stormtrooper, who I'm assuming is part of the 501st, correct?
That would be correct, sir.
Do you have a number?
I do. I'm actually not really a full-fledged member yet. I'm a cadet, so I haven't been issued my number, but I am on the board as TK4112, and that's not official yet, so.
Nice. What do you have to do to be official?
You have to submit photos. There's a process, an application process, and they do that mainly to make sure that your costume is up to certain standards, and there's different standards of the 501st. There's, you know, you can go as hardcore as you want, but they do have like a base, you know, qualification for the armor.
Like making your own and stuff like that? Like from scratch kind of thing?
Right.
What would hardcore be?
Well, they get into, like, see, I never knew that they the button color scheme on the Stormtrooper. Return of the Jedi has a different set than the ones from A New Hope.
I had no idea about that.
And I didn't either. And it's very, very subtle differences, but like on the helmet, the frown, they call that the frown. I know it's bad for radio, but on the front of the helmet, it's gray in A New Hope, and in Return of the Jedi, it's black. So there's very subtle differences that only a hardcore fan would.
I gotcha. And how long did it take you to make your outfit?
It's taken me about 3 months. But I mean, it's not done, and it never will be done. I've got little rub points on here now. This is really the first time I've worn it, you know, and I'm gonna have to go back and do a lot of work to it. So it's not finished.
Having known a person who makes their own costumes, I know those terminologies very well of trying it on, seeing how it goes for the first day, and realizing, ooh, this hurts, this pinches, I need to fix this. So it's always a work in progress.
That's right, and there's some guys that have had their armor for 10 years and they're still not done. So it's there's different things that you can do. You know, it's you know, as a hobby, that's great though, because I mean that's what you know, that's your passion, right?
I mean, it's true. What works of art are never done, correct?
Right. That's right.
How long have you been coming to Dragon Con?
I've been coming to Dragon Con since 1996.
Awesome. So you've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I grew up at Dragon Con. I love it. This is like Christmas. I tell my friends it's like that Blind Melon video where where the little girl found all the other bees.
Nice. What would you say the weirdest thing is you've seen here at the con?
I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called Guar.
I have heard of them.
But they're I used to really enjoy them when I was younger, and it's pretty strange stuff.
Actually, I think Guar did the Spider-Man theme for the cartoon, the animated cartoon that was in the 90s.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they did. Do you remember that cartoon?
Vaguely, I guess.
Look it up. It's awesome.
Okay, sweet. I think I will. I'll have to check that out.
So, Mr. Stormtrooper, how are your thoughts on equal rights for Ewoks?
No comment.
No comment? It's a shame, because those Ewoks, you know, all indoors and things of that nature.
Aren't they like a half Wookiee or something like that?
You know, I think the court's still out on that one. They're not really sure. So I have another silly question for you. In a fight, who would win, Deadpool or Optimus Prime?
I don't know, you put me on the spot with that one. I'd have to go, I don't know, I'd have to go Optimus Prime, dude.
Fair enough. Big robot. He can just go bam.
Yeah, Deadpool would probably, you know, he'd be kind of bouncing around for a while, but I think he has a healing factor, doesn't he?
I believe he does.
Yeah, but you can't really heal from squashed under the hill, so I don't know.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me. Do you have a website you want to plug or anything?
Well, I'd like to plug the Fans for Christ. They're a good group of people. I'd like to plug the 501st. They're a very helpful group of guys, and I don't know. There's a lot of good people at Dragon Con, and I think a lot of people get attach a stigmata to it, you know. But there's bad and there's good and everything, and there's a lot of good people at these conventions. So.
Usually there's a pretty good vibe for these kind of things. Not a lot of jerks hanging around.
That's right. It's good people, man. Good people.
Well, thank you very much for your time. And have a great rest of this con.
You too. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we got to talk to a stormtrooper.
We did, and he was nice enough to not shoot us.
Yes.
Do they allow women in the 501st?
I want to say possibly.
Possibly.
I don't know for a fact just because there's no actual women stormtroopers in the official movies. And they primarily, from what I understand, they are a sole movie canon group. Whereas if it's not a character that's been shown either in the movies or the Clone Wars TV show, it's not allowed.
Ah, gotcha.
Which is actually one of the interesting things about the Clone Wars is some of the designs that they come up with for the different clone troopers. Dave Filoni actually does it on purpose just so that the 501st guys have some new ideas for their costumes. He'll say that in some of his interviews with the Forcecast. Be like, yeah, I threw that in there just for the 501st guys. Say, here, make this. Like, I'm going to come up with something ridiculously hard for you to make.
Or something very silly.
I don't know if you can go silly because I don't know how well that would work on the actual show. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I'm just saying it would have to work in the context of the show. It couldn't just be something for him to throw out there.
If they're still making episodes, I guarantee you. Well, maybe not. I hope that they at least come with at least one trooper who's a little silly.
Well,
just to
true,
to even it out.
True. I do know that in the upcoming season 4, they will have female Mandalorians. I saw that on the trailer for season 4. So
that's cool.
Hopefully, I don't know. Of course, I don't know if the Mandalorians would be part of the 501st. I don't know how that works, but from my basic understanding of the 501st, if it's not in a movie or Clone Wars TV show, it's not allowed. Gotcha. So there's no custom designs.
Gotcha. Okay, and this next person I talked to was literally standing right next to him.
Yep.
So I immediately interviewed him. And not much more needs to be said on the setup, so let's hear this next interview.
Your name, sir?
Lars.
Lars, and you're going as who?
Marty McFly from Back to the Future.
Awesome. I see you got the what looks like the appropriate vest that looks like a life preserver.
Indeed. Not quite right because it doesn't have snaps, but it's the best I could find at the thrift store.
And then I think nice thing is the Marty costume fairly easy but instantly recognizable, so it's a nice costume to go with.
Indeed. My wife over here is Jennifer. Obviously you can't see her on the podcast, but she's pretty adorable.
Indeed she is. How long have you been coming to the con?
Since 2006. I've come every con since then, so this will be my 6th.
And are you part of the Fans for Christ booth, or are you just with your wife?
I'm a member of the website, not actually staff at the booth.
Okay, cool. And what do you guys do since we're on the subject?
We try to let people know that you can be both a Christian and a costumer. You don't have to... A lot of people associate Christianity with bigotry and snobbery, if you will. And to be fair, some people have given it that reputation, and we're striving to show that that's not part of Christianity, that's just part of those people's decisions.
Obviously, you want to distance yourself from the crazy ones who are protesting and saying very hateful, hurtful things, so there are actually sane Christians out there.
Yeah, there are, and that's what we try to show, that, following Christ is about, loving your fellow man. It says if you love me, keep my commandments, and, one of those is love one another. It's what we try to do.
Exactly. Now, granted, on the Ten Commandments, there is that one that says, have no God before me, but there is no thing that says you can't be a fan of something else, so it makes sense that you're here, right?
Exactly. As long as God comes first, then plenty of other things can come second.
What do you think, since you've been here since, you said 2006?
That's right.
What would you say would be the oddest thing you've seen here at the con?
Possibly last night, I saw an entire group of Disney princesses, all of them men.
Wow. That's pretty out there and wrong in many ways. Oh, that's insane. What do you think would be the lamest other than me?
Oh, the lamest? There are people who try hard with their costumes, but perhaps would be better suited to, for instance, for Star Wars characters. Some people may not make the best slave Leia, might make a better job of the HUD.
Duly noted. Oh, man. Good stuff. Oh, that's good stuff, man. Do you have a website you want to plug?
fansforchrist.org here. I don't have any personal website. Obviously, if you want to know more about DragonCon, visit dragoncon.org. And if you want to register for the parade, you actually have to dig down a couple links on there. We almost didn't make it to the parade this year because of that.
They like to keep things well hidden.
I suppose so. They don't want to flood everything, I guess.
Have you ever been to any other con, or is it just this one?
Just this one. I pretty much have budget for just one a year, and I might as well make it the best.
Awesome stuff, man. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
So, as you can imagine, it was really tough to keep going after the Jabba the Hutt comment.
Yeah. We were... Because I was standing behind Andrew during the interview, and I was dying laughing at that.
And I was like, man, I would have liked to have seen the parade of Disney princesses, all as dudes, just to be like, wow, what a freak show.
Yeah, just be like, wow, this is wrong, even for DragonCon. But then again, that's the nice thing about DragonCon, is you can express yourself, even to the point of so absurd, even for this con, and it's still accepted.
Exactly. And to tag up on something we briefly mentioned on another podcast, I actually did see a couple bronies there.
Yes. I was kind of taken aback by that, actually. I'm like, wow, they actually exist.
Although one thing it was while we were leaving to go home, and we were just passing a line of people waiting for something, and I saw a girl dressed as a pony, and I'm like, oh, she's hot. I wish I could have talked. We were trekking, and I was like, oh, she was dressed as crud. Now I can't remember her name.
I'm kind of upset you didn't stop me.
Oh, you were in leading, I think.
I know. I'm upset. I'm kind of upset you didn't stop me.
She was dressed as the one that got the rainbow. Oh no, it's Rainbow
Flash.
No, it's Dash. Rainbow Dash. She was dressed as Rainbow Dash, and I was like, ooh, she's kind of cute.
I just watched the second episode last night. You'd think I'd know this.
Brohoof.
I've now made the decision. I'm going to try to convert my brother.
Okay, real quick.
Anyway.
On the Newground site, there's a flash called Stages of
the 5 stages of brony.
The 5 stages of brony.
Becoming a brony or something like that.
Yeah, and it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And again, I know I briefly mentioned it in the last one we did, but I will say, actually having watched a couple episodes, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is actually pretty good, and it's because it doesn't hinge so much on the whole My Little Pony factor. They utilize the different storytelling concepts and themes that are accessible to anyone.
They don't treat it like a show for little girls. They make it
right
so that anybody could watch it, and it's actually quite entertaining. And it's so strange saying that.
I know.
When you think about it, but it's like,
because we're 2 grown men sitting here saying, yeah, we like My Little Pony. It's kind of like, what's wrong with us? But it's sort of like, good.
But it's sort of like, yeah, I'm not against the show. I'm not gonna go out and buy anything.
Yeah.
But if someone asks me, what do you think about it? It's like, I'm all for it. It's good artwork.
Yeah.
Good voice work. It's well written. Really can't bash it.
I was going to say the artwork is kind of nice because it does have a simplistic design, but still it's got enough detail.
Yeah. It's eye-pleasing.
It is.
And really to tag up on the Fans for Christ, it was a pretty nice little booth.
Yeah, they were very nice and
overall
very, accessible people.
And overall, I would say as a whole, the most people that we talked to, even the ones we didn't interview, were really nice.
Yeah. And even the couple other times that we've gone before, I don't recall ever meeting an unnice person.
So for the most part, like I said in the interview, pretty good vibe. Granted, I think as you get later, you might run into some drunk people.
Yeah, and especially later at night, about 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and since some of these things don't close beyond that,
right.
So there's always that, but we weren't there for it.
Right.
So I'm sure that's there, but for the most part, good vibe.
Yeah. Even if it's people that, this is the one place where you can have a Jedi Knight shaking hands with a guy dressed up as Spock, and there's no animosity, Yeah,
it's not like in Fanboys where you got them calling out each other and
I think
rumble.
In Fanboys they were doing that to be ridiculous, but in reality, you go to this con at least, I don't know how others are, but at least here, we all appreciate each other for our fandom, regardless of what it is.
Plus it's also sort of like, hey, it's a place where people who make their own stuff can get together and be like, oh, that was cool, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, that's kind of awesome, or like, we should hook up and do something together to try to make it better.
Yeah.
Or like, can you give me a tip on how you did that? That kind of thing.
Yeah, like I remember last year when I dressed up as Batman, and there was another guy there. He also dressed up as Batman, but he was a blue and gray Batman. And the way that he did his utility belt, the little carriers on the side, because they were the cylinder ones, and for many years I couldn't figure out how to do it. You know what he did? He used Sharpie caps. He just took 2 of them and hooked them on the belt and painted them yellow.
Cool.
So they had the right look. And I was like, it seems so obvious once you hear it, but I was like, how come I never thought of that?
Well, it's a stroke of brilliance, really,
It
just
is.
to take that object and make it into something else.
Right. And that's what I like about talking to the different people there.
Ingenuity and creativity at work.
Yes.
Which is
You see-
really nice.
And that's what you get a lot of from this con, especially if you're a costume person.
Yeah. So, I forget who we interviewed next. I think Captain America. We'll find out. Let's play the interview,
There was
shall we?
another interview.
We do
We'll
have
find out
another-
who it is.
Yeah.
Hello again. What's your name, sir?
Chris Fields,
And you're dressed as what today?
as Captain America.
Obviously, since I have the giant shield, the big star, big A on your head, how long did it take you to make the whole thing?
The whole suit was probably about a year in the making. Most of the time being in the fitting and the stitching of the suit with a couple friends that were working on it for me. The shield also took about 2 months.
And since you brought that up, that's probably the most striking thing. Granted, the whole suit's awesome, but the shield's amazing looking. How did you make that?
Yeah, the shield is, when I saw the movie Shield come out, I kind of laughed because that was, the way they did it in the movie was the way I've always wanted to do the shield. It's just, it's an aluminum spinning, so the shield's all metal. The back bracket on the shield was completely different than I wanted to do, but it's very complicated, very time consuming. But it took a while, a lot of hand work, a lot of metal work. It was a lot of fun.
How much does it weigh in total, do you think?
It's about 10 pounds.
So a little bit weighty, but not too heavy that you can't use it. Probably not good for throwing, right?
Well, it would definitely knock somebody out if I threw it at him.
And probably do a lot of damage.
Yes, definitely.
How long have you been coming to Dragon Con?
Since 2000, actually.
Nice. What was the strangest thing you've seen so far?
Strangest? It's
I know a broad topic for the con we're at.
it's a very, very broad. Strangest, huh? Wow. Let me see.
Keep in mind, there is no wrong answer.
I'm going through all the strange things I've seen here at Dragon Con. Here's, just because I'm Captain America now, the strangest thing I ever saw, there was a furry Captain America back in like '04, I think. It scared the heck out of me. He was a huge guy, and it was totally all fur. Yeah, I didn't get it one bit.
Last year I saw a furry Ghostbuster, so I share your pain.
Yeah, that just flashed in my head, and I was very scared. So,
So let me ask you, what do you think about equal rights for Ewoks?
Ewoks for Ewoks, definitely. You know, they're furry too. The furries scare me, but it doesn't mean they can't have equal rights, you know.
Naturally. And who do you think would win in a fight? Optimus Prime or Deadpool?
Believe it or not, I have to say Deadpool.
There's always good reason for that. Do you have a website you want to plug or anything?
No. Yeah, I'm on a couple of forums, or League of Heroes and the Replica Prop forum. So, you know, if anybody's interested in doing all this costuming stuff, it's a great place to go. So.
And if someone, say, wanted to learn how to make a shield like you, how would they contact you?
Oh, the 2 websites I just mentioned, League of Heroes, we show progress pictures, we talk about all the work on there, especially the Replica Prop forum. A lot of folks sharing a lot of information from engineers to, you know, woodworkers to all sorts of people. So it's a great resource.
Cool. Have you been to any other cons, or is this the only one?
Oh, we do a lot. We're down in Florida, so we generally do MegaCon down in Orlando, Comic-Con out in San Diego. The only ones I haven't been to is up in New York. Got to get to those, but Dragon Con's the best one.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, and your name once again?
It's Chris again. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. Have a great rest of Dragon Con.
He was tough to get an interview with, not just because he was a jerk or anything, but because he was so busy being taken photographs of.
Yeah, because he looked really good in his costume.
He did.
He had the size. He had the right kind of proportions. He also had a really good chin. Like, I'm comfortable in my masculinity enough. The guy looked the part. He had a good superhero face.
And as I said in the interview, the shield was strikingly good.
It looked like it came straight out of the movie.
And so, I mean, that was really like, people like, wow, that's awesome. And
Plus, he also had the Rocketeer standing next to him, which looked straight out of the movie.
He did, and,
so,
like he said in the interview, his shield was metalwork, but he also incorporated metalworking in his costume, where he had the star, I think on his chest was metal, right. The A on his head was metal, and the wings on his head were also metal.
Right.
And all carved to look really well. So he put a lot of effort into his costume, and it definitely paid off.
It was, and it was, oddly enough, it wasn't a movie replica or anything. It looked more like the costume from the comics.
But with a little hint of the movie in it.
Right. There was a mixture of different things, and it looked good. It didn't look silly or anything, which was kind of nice.
No, it actually looked practical because he had boots on. He looked like he could just sprint down the road and start fighting crime.
Yeah. It's like you looked at him like, okay, this guy could take on Red Skull.
Yeah. I wouldn't mess with this guy.
But he was also a really nice guy, and actually the one website he mentioned, League of Heroes, I actually am going to begin working on a Captain America costume for myself, and I was able to find out a way to do the shield, which was to take a toboggan round sled, and actually use that as the basis for the shield. So thanks to him, I now have some ideas on my own costuming projects.
Right, and I hate to mention this because it's stupidity on my part, but the person I talked to next, I didn't get the interview of because I didn't have the microphone on. Because I am a complete and utter idiot.
Well,
which was bad because, she looked great in her outfit. She was dressed as Kerrigan from StarCraft.
Yes.
And it was a good interview, and I totally didn't get it. So
which is a darn shame.
It's a darn shame. We have pictures, I believe.
Yes.
So we will be having...
We have pictures, but no audio.
We have pictures, but no audio. So I apologize to the person who was so nice enough to talk to me.
It's okay.
Live
and learn.
Live and learn.
Then get lost.
This was my...
I don't know why that's stuck in my head. I watched too many commercials as a kid, I guess.
Obviously. To be fair, this is my first time interviewing people, and my first time using the microphone I bought.
Right.
This is not my first time using my recording device, but
to be fair, it was newer equipment you weren't quite as accustomed to.
Right. Plus, having it in my pocket all day kind of makes switches get turned where you're like, I'm sure it's on. So I'll know for next time. Just leave it on. Always double check.
Yep. So the next person...
The next person I did get an interview with, we're just going to dive right in, because I forget who it was.
It was the girl, which was an original design, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. But let's take a listen.
Hello, and I'm speaking with...
Mel?
Mel L? And what is it you're wearing exactly?
It's an original design costume that I made.
It's very cool. It's got a whole bunch of lights and flickering things and a very light up spine. It's very attractive to the eye and very shiny.
Thank you. I'm Asian, so I'm really into bright flashing lights. A lot of those on my computer.
How long did it take you to make this?
On and off for about 3 months.
3 months? That was fast for what it looks like to be pretty complex.
Thank you. I think once you're working on something and you get really into it and you get a clearer idea of what your design is, then when it's all, just actually building it, then the real fun begins and you start to see things coming together. It's a really good feeling.
What would you say your overall concept for it would be? What is it you're really going for?
Well, when I was starting to design this, I was looking at a lot of Matsumune Shiro's Intron Depot, which is always something that I've liked a lot. So there's some elements from Shiro, some elements from, I work during the day as an engineering student, and I do a lot of biomedical work, so that's where the spine came from. So I like to think of it as kind of like a science/fiction thing, so...
Well, it works very well. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
How long have you been coming to Dragon Con?
I'd say this is my 4th year.
4th?
Yeah, but before that I was going to San Diego Con for probably 12 years in a row.
Oh wow, so this is not a new adventure for you.
I love comic conventions of all kinds.
Do you dress up every year?
No, actually I've just been dressing up for the last 3 years, so this is my 3rd costume.
Oh awesome, what was your previous two?
I did Princess Mononoke, and I did another original design last year.
Very awesome. Do you have like a website you want to plug or anything?
Sure. You can see my work at melell.com.
Is that like a no W in front?
Oh, sorry, there's a www in front.
Just making sure, because on my own site there's no W's, it's just afelson1.wordpress.com.
Gotcha.
Because it's a silly blog and all that.
Gotcha. Cool.
So, what would you say would be the weirdest thing you've seen at Dragon Con?
Dragon Con keeps amazing me with the weirdness. There's so many things in my mind right now, I can't put my finger on one of them.
Awesome. Well, how do you feel on equal rights for Ewoks?
They're people too, sort of. Tiny furry people.
And who do you think would win in a fight, Deadpool or Optimus Prime?
Probably Optimus Optimus Prime. Deadpool regenerates, but he could still get torn apart by a robot.
Valid point. Well, thank you very much for your time, and have a great rest of the con. Thank you.
By the way, if Andrew seemed a little flustered during that interview, she was really pretty.
Yeah, my male side was taken. I was like, Andrew, she's hot. I'm like, shut up. Got to be professional. And then I became too professional and didn't pursue, keep talking to her like I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot again. But that's okay, because I did actually check out her site. There's a lot of neat stuff on there. Hopefully, I can let her know that she's being featured in this podcast.
Right. Hopefully you can.
Because unfortunately we didn't have business cards to hand out to let people know, hey, go here.
Yeah.
You want to listen to yourself. So we'll be a little bit more prepared and hopefully professional next year.
Yes.
But we do definitely have pictures of her, and it really was a neat costume. Because it doesn't the pictures don't exactly do it justice, just because all the intricate parts of it were all lit up.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
It had a lot of detail to it.
A lot of neat detail. So it was really very striking to the eye, which is why you're like, ooh, shiny.
Yeah, well, plus you had the light-up spine, you had the thing on her arm that was lit up. There was a lot of, and it was the fact that it was original, too, kind of helped, because you don't know what it is at first.
Yeah, so you're just intrigued, like, what is that?
It's like, something's bright and shiny, and what is that? And you get in closer, and then you're like, oh, this is really neat.
Yeah, and the amount, the amount of detail and handiwork she did was quite good.
Yes.
And the short amount of span of time was also quite impressive.
Yes.
Although this is the second person, I think, who said 3 months for a costume.
Which really is, they say 3 months, but that's a generalization. I mean, I could spend 3 months on a costume, but to be realistic, it only took me 2 weeks to make my Batman costume. It just depends on how many hours per day you're doing it. If you're only working on it an hour or two a day, I can easily see 3 months.
Gotcha.
That doesn't sound like as fast as you might think.
True. Just when I see all the cords and stuff, all the lights, I think that's 3 months of work. That seems pretty impressive.
Well, I was going to say, plus she said she was a biomedical engineering student, so she probably understands a lot and is able to do a lot of the stuff herself. And if she's a student, she's probably doing it for quite a while, so she can do it probably more effectively than we can.
Yeah. And I think the next person I talked to was also had lights in her costume.
Yes, she was one of the characters from Tron.
She's from Tron, I believe. So let's listen to that.
Hi, and what's your name?
I'm Rhea.
Rhea, and what are you dressed as exactly?
I am dressed as Jim the Siren from Tron Legacy.
Oh, okay, so I see you have are these LEDs on you?
They're EL wire, which I got off the internet, which is it was really, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the website or not, but I mean it's EL wire, which is continuous wire linked to a battery pack, and it's just sewn to the costume and good to go.
How long did it take you to make your costume?
A really long time. I didn't really count how many hours, but I've pretty much been working on it all summer.
Okay, so a good couple months.
Yeah.
How long have you been coming to Dragon Con?
This is my second year coming. This is my first time dressing up, though.
Well, this is my third year, so we're both kind of on the noob section on this. And
I mean, I've been around it for pretty much my entire life, but this is just my second time paying for the convention and actually attending panels and stuff.
Well, cool. What's the strangest thing you think you've seen thus far?
Well, a pretty exciting moment, I guess, was that I got to give fashion advice to a drag queen, which doesn't happen often. But that was I arrived at that moment.
Awesome. Do you have any websites you want to plug, for yourself or anything?
Not really. I mean, I'm not really an internet person, but I mean.
Okay, well, for reference, since my friend makes his own costumes too, he might want to know where you got the lights, so where'd you get that website from?
Okay, it's called that'scoolwired.com, I think. I'm not sure if it's com or not. But pretty much you can Google EL Wire and it's the first link there. But they were really helpful. They soldered all the connectors on, so if you don't really know anything about wiring, it's a really good website for this kind of thing. So.
Well, awesome. I have a question for you. Obviously, I've been asking questions, so that's silly. Who do you think would win in a fight? Deadpool or Optimus Prime?
Okay, that's a hard one, because you could go with Optimus Prime because he's so big and, at least the Michael Bay version. He's very into explosions. But Deadpool, he's like every mutant power ever. So, I mean, that's a toss-up. I think it could go either way.
It's a tough battle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Have a great rest of the con.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fashion advice for a drag queen. That just made me laugh. That was so hard. I was one of those times where, like, I was tired then at that point because it was pretty late at night by that point. But when she said that, I'm just we'd been there like for a while. I was just like in my head, I'm just dying.
You held your composure really well.
Yeah.
But the way she was talking about the fight between Optimus Prime and Deadpool, I'm thinking like the Rocky ending where they just end in a draw. It's just a photo finish. Neither one wins.
So that was pretty cool. And she did have a pretty neat outfit.
But yeah, she had the wire going through her costume, like down the arms and up the legs. And
she was part of a Tron group.
Right.
There was a whole group of them who had the Tron legacy thing going. So it was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was.
And maybe we can incorporate some of those lights and some other stuff we could use.
Yeah, I definitely would like to do a Green Lantern movie costume and have the emblem glow. It would be a little bit too difficult to actually get the veins glowing.
You know, you could probably make that for, like, Iron Man, too.
Yeah.
The glowing thing.
Well, I'm going to get Phil to help me with that.
Oh.
Since he's an electrical engineer.
Oh, okay.
And he actually knows what he's doing.
Or maybe you can incorporate some lights into the proton pack you're trying to make.
Yeah, that would probably be a way to do it.
But yeah, it was pretty neat. And I think we have one more interview to go. I think this is also the longest one.
I don't remember there being another one.
This is when we talk to the Sith Lord.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about him.
This is also pretty darn late at night.
No, this was not an intended interview.
This is not intended.
Like we said before, my friend Hunter was dressed up as Anakin Skywalker, and I had made the costume for him last year for Halloween, and we're kind of I think we were waiting on Phil at this point or something.
Something like that.
And we're just kind of standing there chilling, whatever, and this guy dressed as the Sith Lord just kind of comes over and asks Hunter about his costume. And we say, well, no, he didn't make it, I did. And so him and I got talking about this and that, and
I'm like, this is too good to pass up. Let me get my microphone out.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of throw it at Matt, and you'll get to hear what happened.
Yeah, that's the last time that'll ever happen.
So you say.
Yes, sir. What am I doing? Hello, Matt. Matt's going to be interviewing the, what's your name, sir?
My name is Dark Jedi, TDE 090 from the Dark Empire.
And I'm Matthew Puetz. Ask him a question, Mr. Matthew Puetz. Sorry. And how did you get started with the Dark Empire?
I was looking for a group that takes more of a custom Sith personnel. You can take candid or custom. It's similar to the File First. It's made by George Lucas, but it's strict on the rules. But it's more you can kind of come up with however you like. Join the forums, and they'll give you suggestions on what you can improve on. And then you go through a dark trial, and then when you go through the dark trials, they'll kind of give you yay or nay on your costume. And depending on your costume, if you have like problems with it, like the belt or the boots, people suggest the sites to you, let you know where to get the pieces from or how to customize it. And once you're ready to become part of the Dark Empire, we do events all over the country. We have people from Germany, Australia, Alaska, you name it. We have groups all over the place.
And how long have you been with them?
Actually, I started about a month ago. I'm a newer member. It's been a real big thing. This is my first event with them, DragonCon. They go to every DragonCon, except for I don't think we'll be at next year. We have Star Wars Celebration in Florida, and it happens like 3 days apart, and we'll know if we'll be able to make it here in town for the DragonCon.
Well, that makes sense. You certainly want to have your main Star Wars group attend a Star Wars convention as opposed to a more genre, non-specific convention like DragonCon. What is the main thing you enjoy about what the organization offers you?
Just to go out, support Star Wars, be part of a group that you can feel proud of, go to events all over the world. We're going to be doing charity things soon. Like I said, it's a newer group starting in April for like more bigger people. There's only 91 personnel so far, and as we grow, we'll be doing more charities, some more places. But you'll be able to see us at DragonCon, Comic-Con, Chattanooga Con, all over the place. You go to any convention, you pretty much be able to see the Dark Empire.
And out of the 91 members, is there a majority of them that's in one certain location?
No, they're spread over from Germany, California, New York, Ohio, anywhere in the world you can become a member.
So it sounds like quite attached just to get everybody at one place at the same time.
It is pretty hard to get one at the same place at the same time. Most people always show up for the Star celebrations because that's like the biggest thing, but as the group grows, people will travel wherever to get there, but we'll have more the majority grow there. I know the group here in Georgia is called Yam 4 Temple. That's what I'm part of, and it's like 4 states put together, and it's spread across the world.
All right. Do you have any questions, Andrew? I do. You mentioned the Dark Trials. What does that entail exactly?
The Dark Trials happens after the roll call. The roll call, you introduce yourself. The Dark Trials, you basically put your picture up, showing of how your costume looks like. And if there's any errors with it or problems with it, other people will help you out to let you know about your costume, like what you can improve on, where you can get the pieces from. It takes some time, and once you get approved by the higher-ups, then they'll let you know if you pass or not, and once you get approved, you become an official member, and then you get a TDE number.
Cool, and you also mentioned that you've done some charities. What have you done so far?
Well, we haven't really done any charities yet. We're still looking at charities in the future.
Okay, well, I mean, it's great that you're putting forth the effort of having Star Wars and charities. It's always a great thing to combine. It's always a very good feel-good moment. How long did it take you to make your outfit?
My outfit took probably a couple months. It takes a lot of money because I go to alterations a lot of time, and alterations can sometimes trip you off, but you can spend approximately around 200 up to like 1,000, just depends on the material that you use. But on the forums, they'll let you know of where to get from at a cheaper price, the best thing that you can find, and everything's out there just to put together.
How strict is the criteria for making the costumes?
It's pretty strict, but not too strict. The 501st is more of a group that wants stuff straight from the movie. The Dark Empire is more not candid, it's more custom, where you still have to look pretty official. You did like the no laces, no zippers, look pretty authentic, like you just came off the movie stage of a Star Wars film.
Gotcha. How long have you been coming to Dragon Con, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I've been with the military with the 101st Airborne, so every other year I deployed. So this is my 3rd year. My brother's been here like 6 times, and so, but the Dark Empire will be here hopefully every year. I don't think we'll be here again next year due to the celebration down in Florida.
That's cool, and now that I've heard that you've been deployed several times, I want to send our thanks for all you've done for us. And what do you think has been the strangest thing you've seen at Dragon Con thus far?
Nine cat. That's probably the strangest thing.
The Pop-Tart cat, right?
Yeah. Pop-Tart cat with rainbows.
It's a strange name it is. Or meme, however you pronounce that word.
Yeah, nine cat.
Well, thank you very much for your time, man. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your con. Thank you.
Yeah, he was a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, it was a really cool time being able to talk to him. I think I probably talked to him for probably a half hour or something. Yeah. I could have still talked to him just because it was, and that's the thing you go to Dragon Con for. You don't go just to go. You go to meet people that have a similar interest in something, or similar fandom, I guess is a better word. Because, I mean, we can sit here and talk about the stuff we like, but it's so much more enjoyable when you go, like, at least for me, you go to these conventions and you interact with people. Oh, this guy's a big Star Wars fan, and he makes his own costumes, and oh, he's part of this group that, you know, does all these things, and oh, he's interested in what I've done, and helping me make it a little better.
And it's cool that he just kind of glanced over and was like, hey, you should probably join if you made this.
Yeah.
And it is nice that I kind of like the idea of it's like the 501st, but they say, hey, it's customized. You can make it whatever, as long as it looks authentic.
Yeah.
Like if you could have walked off a movie set.
Right.
But if you want to go crazy with it, go crazy.
Yeah.
Which I like.
And as soon as he told me that, I'm thinking, ooh, I have this Sith Lord I came up with. I need to just do it better.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll kind of get that ball rolling. I did check out the website, and it is it's pretty good. I don't know the nuts and bolts of it. I really just took a glance at it just to kind of say, oh, here it is, and okay, what's it about, that sort of thing. But yeah, and I like the fact that they're wanting to do charity work as well, because that's one thing that the 501st is. It's not just a fan club first of all, it's not just a fan club. Second of all, it's not just people who make these costumes, but they're known for going to charities. You know, they'll go to hospitals where, you know, you get terminally ill kids, and they'll just brighten their day.
Yeah.
You know, and just, it seems strange to normal people who don't do this sort of thing, who don't have a fandom. But, you know, if it's a matter of dressing up as a stormtrooper and going and making a little kid's day or whatever, or helping at a charity, you know, something, why not?
Why not? I mean, on one hand, the strange thing when you think about it is it's the bad guys going to these events, but it's the fact
that it's Star Wars here.
It's Star Wars, 1, and 2, it's like, yeah, you could have someone dressed as Luke, but someone would be like, well, he doesn't really look like Luke.
Yeah. You got to have the same face, same hair color, same hairstyle.
So it's easier when you have the masks and the helmets.
Right. Especially for the Stormtroopers and Vader, you know?
Yeah, but the difference here is, like, this guy didn't have a mask. He had face paint, I believe.
Yeah.
He had contacts, but for the most part, he just had the robes.
Yeah, but it still looked the part, and it still had that authentic look, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. And not long after that, we decided to go home because we were all really tired.
Yeah. It had been a long day, and
it was a long day. Thankfully, you didn't have any moments where you were going to kill somebody.
Thankfully.
You actually remembered
thank God for granola bars.
Yeah, you actually packed them this year.
Yes.
So there was no point of turtle smash.
No, I was close.
You were getting there.
It was while I was in line for my pizza, so it was okay.
Which was interesting in and of itself.
Okay.
It was just weird.
You find it weird that I ate pizza?
No, the whole... We're not going to really talk about it because it's just between you and us, but the whole you in line and people trying to rush you.
Oh.
That was kind of...
Yeah. Well, it's whatever.
It's whatever. But everybody had a good time.
Yeah.
And like I said, pretty much everybody we talked to, even when we weren't interviewing them, was pretty nice.
Yeah, a lot of nice people. I was really happy that a lot of people liked my costume too.
Yeah.
And they once they got the concept that it's a different type of Ninja Turtle, but it's still a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah. I think the only problem with it was, like, sometimes if they just saw you straight up front.
Yeah. From the front, you don't see the back shell.
So
much.
you kind of look like Reptile a little bit once you see the shell, like instantly, like, okay, he's a turtle. But he looks different. He looks like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
There you go. And then when you see the size, you're like, okay, that's Raphael.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Well, plus I had, like, the straps going down were red, and the mask in front of the face was red as well. So.
Yeah. Which is...
I actually am looking into, at some point, doing a whole group.
Which will take you forever.
It will. But now that I understand how it's worked, now that I have all the pattern, the basic structure and everything, it's just a matter of adapting that for the size of the person.
Yeah.
But first I'm going to make the modifications to the costume I need to make it look really, really good.
Yeah. Hey, Matt.
Yes.
What was the weirdest thing you saw at Dragon Con? In general, not just this one, but, like, since we've gone to... I've gone to 3. How many have you gone to?
Same amount.
3? Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think the strangest thing. Now I'm trying to remember everything I've seen.
It is a lot. I know.
Especially because, unfortunately, a lot of times I might ignore a strange thing in place of a really cool thing.
It's true. Okay. Well, what was the coolest thing you've seen?
I think the coolest thing I saw, just because I really liked the concept, it was a biker Boba Fett.
Okay, cool.
Where he literally took a biker aspect of it. Like, he had the leather jacket, but he had the Mandalorian symbol on the back. He had the helmet, but it had, like, the studs down the side. And it was like, holy cow, this looks really awesome. It's kind of like, how steampunk is kind of taken over. This guy didn't go the disco route.
No, he went Mad Max.
He did. He totally went Mad Max, and it works. I was like, I would love to see more of this.
That's pretty cool.
So, you never know. Biker Batman may show up.
I bet you that's been done.
I don't know. You never know. I mean,
there's so many variations of Batman out there.
Oh yeah,
that people have done.
But I'm just saying that biker variation of a well-known character is Biker Ghostbusters.
That'd be weird.
That would be weird, but creative at the same time. So, I think that just struck me as really creative because there was a group that was like a medieval Justice League where they had Hawkman. It was done really well, and they had some others like they had a Green Lantern that kind of had it looked almost like a musketeer.
Okay.
And that was done really well, and it was a group, and it was done well, but at the same time, it still felt a little too close to steampunk. And not that I have a problem with the whole steampunk thing, but you see so much of it, you almost feel like it's so saturated, like there's no room for anything new. It's just kind of there. And hey, we've got something new out of it. That's cool, but it is nice. One of the things I like about Dragon Con is seeing the new concepts, the originality and the creativity people have, and that's what they bring to Dragon Con, and they inspire other people to do these things.
Yep. A lot of people dressed as Doctor Who, I saw.
Yeah. There was even a Doctor Who stormtrooper.
Nice.
His name was Who.
Obviously. Who? The name of the band. Who?
Yes. Who makes out his check to? Yes. So he makes the check out to yes. Who? Yes.
No, he makes that out to who? Who? Yes.
Why? Third base.
Yeah.
We could just go on with that bit forever.
And never, never, never. But yeah, it was a neat experience. I don't know how many of these I'll actually go to, because at a certain point you're like, okay, I'm done walking around. But it was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly worth it once a year.
It is.
I know, me personally, I'd like to go all 4 days at some point.
I think you'll be alone on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Well, you never know. If you go with the right people, and the thing of it is there's different stuff every day. So
yeah,
it's not like this. It's the same stuff every day, like the Renaissance Festival.
I don't think I'm certainly not the person who could go all day in a costume like that, though. For some of them, because I don't want to. I don't know. It's just me.
It is. I will say the last couple of years, yeah, it is tough. That's part of the reason why when I was making the turtle costume, I was very much more conscientious about wearing all day. I was actually thoroughly surprised that the feet held up. Because the bottom of the foot was basically the same material I had for the arms and legs and an insole. And there was pretty much no damage. I thought for sure, when I got back, half the foot ripped up. Nope.
The only thing you had to do was, I think, position the insole a couple times.
Yeah, I had to reposition that because it would slip out of place. So I know for next time to just buy a second pair and just glue them in so that they stay. But I was thoroughly impressed that there were a couple structural things I need to make modifications to, but overall it was a good experience. It was a good test for the costume, especially for the mobility. I was very, very happy that the prosthetic it never once felt too heavy, didn't get sweaty. That worked really well too.
And I think that's kind of all we can say about it for this year.
Yeah, I look forward to next year, and if things go the way they might go, we might be doing the Avengers next year.
We shall see.
So,
but hey, if things keep going good with the podcast, look for us there.
Yeah.
Certainly not as a booth. We're not there yet. I don't think we'll get that good.
You could be a walking booth. We could make you a booth costume like we did for my brother.
No.
Well, he was a kissing booth, so I think a podcast booth would be okay.
Maybe.
We'll just make you a t-shirt.
I can do a t-shirt. That's kind of it. I'm Andrew Felson.
And I'm Matthew Puetz.
Dragon Con freaks out!
Freaks out!
Freaks in! Freaks out!
The content of the Freakacast is copyright to Andrew Felson and Matthew Puetz. All characters belong to their respective owners. A full list of music used will be provided on the website. This podcast is for entertainment use only. Copyright 2011.